6 powerful boundaries that instantly attract high-value women. Robert Greene. Most men believe attraction is about saying the right things, doing more, proving value, or chasing approval. That belief quietly destroys their power. High-value women are not drawn to effort, explanations, or emotional exposure given too freely. They are drawn to presence, self-control, and boundaries that signal power without ever demanding attention. Robert Greene teaches us that attraction is never created by force. It is created by what you withhold, what you protect, and what you refuse to negotiate. The man who controls access to himself controls the dynamic. In this video, you are going to learn the boundaries that immediately shift how high-value women perceive you, not because you demand respect, but because your behavior makes disrespect impossible. These are not loud boundaries. They are subtle. They are calm. And they work because they operate on human psychology, not emotion. Part 1 begins with the most important boundary of all: your time is not freely available. A man who gives unlimited access to his time communicates that his life lacks structure, purpose, and hierarchy. High-value women are instinctively drawn to men whose time feels scarce, not because they are playing games, but because scarcity signals importance. When you respond instantly, cancel your priorities, or rearrange your life at the first hint of attention, you place her above your mission. Robert Greene explains that power weakens when it is given without conditions. Your time must be earned, not requested. This does not mean ignoring or acting cold. It means you have a life that continues moving forward regardless of who enters it. When a woman senses that your schedule is full, your focus is strong, and your world does not revolve around her presence, she feels pulled toward you. The boundary is simple: you do not over-explain your availability, and you never apologize for having priorities. Silence, when used correctly, speaks louder than reassurance. The man who respects his own time teaches others how to treat him without saying a word. Part 2 is the boundary of emotional self-containment. Most men believe vulnerability means unloading emotions early, confessing feelings, and seeking validation through emotional exposure. In reality, uncontrolled emotional expression signals instability and a need for external regulation. High-value women feel safest around men who are emotionally grounded, not emotionally dependent. Robert Greene emphasizes the importance of mastery over impulse. When you react quickly, explain your feelings excessively, or seek reassurance when uncertainty appears, you give away leverage. Emotional containment does not mean suppression. It means discernment. You choose when and how much of your inner world is revealed. You do not use emotions to manipulate, and you do not offer them as currency. This boundary creates mystery, depth, and respect. When a woman realizes that your emotional state is not easily shaken by her moods, silence, or unpredictability, she begins to regulate herself around you. Stability is attractive because it creates safety. The man who remains centered becomes the reference point. He does not chase emotional clarity. He allows clarity to come to him. By mastering these first 2 boundaries, you shift from seeking attraction to commanding it quietly. You stop trying to be chosen and instead become a man whose presence must be earned. This is the foundation of power dynamics Robert Greene has outlined for decades. When you control access to your time and emotions, you create gravity. Everything else builds from here. Part 3 is the boundary of standards that are never negotiated. Most men think attraction is about flexibility, being agreeable, and avoiding conflict. In reality, nothing erodes desire faster than a man who bends his principles to maintain approval. High-value women are constantly testing, not consciously but instinctively. They test to see where you stand, what you tolerate, and how easily your values can be moved. Robert Greene teaches that power is maintained by clarity of position. When you hesitate, justify, or soften your standards to avoid discomfort, you signal weakness. A man with firm standards does not argue them. He does not lecture. He simply lives by them. If behavior violates his values, he responds with distance, not drama. This boundary is powerful because it removes emotional negotiation from the equation. You are not trying to change her. You are observing whether she aligns. When a woman realizes that your respect is conditional on behavior, not emotion, attraction deepens. She feels challenged in a way that awakens desire. The key is consistency. The moment you compromise your standards out of fear of loss, you teach her that boundaries are temporary. But when your standards remain calm, clear, and unmoving, they become magnetic. They signal that you know who you are, and that certainty is rare. Part 4 is the boundary of non-reactivity. This is one of the most misunderstood principles of power. Many men confuse non-reactivity with passivity, but they are opposites. Non-reactivity is the ability to observe without being controlled. Robert Greene explains that the person who reacts loses control of the frame. When you become defensive, angry, overly enthusiastic, or emotionally triggered, you allow someone else to dictate your state. High-value women are deeply attuned to emotional shifts. If your mood rises and falls based on her attention, her tone, or her availability, she subconsciously senses that she holds power over you. Non-reactivity reverses this dynamic. You do not rush to explain misunderstandings. You do not chase clarity. You do not respond immediately to emotional pressure. Instead, you pause. You let space do the work. This boundary creates intrigue and respect because it shows that your inner world is stable. Silence becomes a tool, not a withdrawal. When you are calm under tension, she feels it. When you do not chase resolution, resolution moves toward you. The man who can remain composed while others become emotional controls the direction of the interaction without ever asserting dominance. Part 5 is the boundary of self-sufficiency. Neediness is not about desire. It is about dependency. Many men want companionship but unknowingly communicate that they require it to feel whole. This places emotional weight on the woman and diminishes attraction instantly. Robert Greene emphasizes that the strongest position is wanting without needing. When your happiness, confidence, and identity exist independently of romantic outcomes, you become unpredictable in the best way. High-value women are drawn to men who choose them, not men who rely on them. This boundary means you do not seek constant contact, validation, or reassurance. You enjoy connection, but you are not destabilized by absence. When she pulls away, you do not chase. When she draws closer, you do not cling. Your life remains full, structured, and meaningful with or without her presence. This creates a paradox: the less you need, the more you are wanted. Self-sufficiency signals abundance. It tells her that you are with her because you want to be, not because you fear being alone. That freedom is attractive because it cannot be controlled. As these boundaries accumulate, something subtle begins to happen. You stop performing. You stop monitoring reactions. You stop adjusting yourself to be liked. Instead, your presence becomes grounded, composed, and deliberate. Robert Greene's teachings are not about manipulation. They are about positioning. When you position yourself as a man with limits, clarity, and self-command, attraction becomes a response rather than a pursuit. These boundaries do not push women away. They filter. They ensure that only those capable of respecting your frame are allowed closer. And that is where real power begins. Part 6 is the boundary of walking away without resentment. Most men think walking away means losing. Robert Greene teaches the opposite. The ultimate position of power is the ability to leave calmly when conditions no longer serve you. High-value women are extremely sensitive to whether a man stays out of desire or out of fear. If you tolerate disrespect, mixed signals, or emotional games just to keep access, you communicate that you believe this is the best you can get. That belief is felt instantly. Walking away is not an emotional reaction. It is a quiet decision. You do not threaten to leave. You do not announce ultimatums. You simply reduce access and remove yourself when alignment disappears. This boundary creates immediate contrast. The absence of drama confuses expectations. When a woman realizes that your presence is optional and not guaranteed, her perception shifts. You are no longer competing. You are selecting. Even if she never returns, your power remains intact because it was never dependent on her response. The man who can walk away without bitterness proves that his value exists independently of the outcome. That level of detachment is rare, and rarity creates desire. Part 7 is the boundary of identity first living. This is where all other boundaries draw their strength. Many men attempt to apply techniques without anchoring them to identity. Robert Greene repeatedly emphasizes that power flows from consistency between who you are and how you act. When your boundaries are rooted in a clear sense of self, they require no effort. You do not need reminders. You do not need strategies. You simply move according to your values. Identity first living means your mission, principles, and direction come before attraction. Women are not the center of your life. They are an addition to it. When a woman senses that your life has momentum, that you are building something larger than validation, she instinctively positions herself around you. You are not chasing attention because attention follows direction. This boundary removes neediness at its source. You are not trying to appear confident. You are occupied with becoming something meaningful. That alignment creates gravity. People move toward men who know where they are going. When all 6 boundaries are in place, attraction stops feeling like a mystery. You realize that high-value women are not attracted to words, promises, or effort alone. They are attracted to structure, to limits, to men who are internally governed. Robert Greene's philosophy reveals a truth most men never learn. Power is not asserted, it is assumed. The moment you stop asking to be chosen, you become the one who chooses. These boundaries are not about control over others. They are about control over yourself. And self-control is the foundation of influence, respect, and desire. If you live this way consistently, you will notice something change. Conversations feel different. Attention feels different. You are no longer trying to hold interest. Interest forms naturally. Not because you are doing more, but because you are no longer available to anything that weakens you. That is the quiet force behind attraction. That is the Robert Greene truth most men overlook.